Hey, good morning or afternoon, everyone. This is Mark Hamblin here, and today I'm going to take you through how to do shipping well within Business Central using Dynamic Ship and some of our other shipping applications. Dynamic Ship is really the full shipping solution for Business Central. So what it allows you to do are all these things. I won't read them off by default, but the primary purpose of Dynamic Ship is to allow you to go out, do rate shopping, like get specific rates from specific carriers, or compare multiple carriers simultaneously. And that works for parcel carriers, LTL carriers, full truckload carriers, all that kind of stuff. So we've got a ton of carriers. Like I think at this point we're at 400 carriers or so that we support between parcel and LTL. There's a bunch of stuff you can do, and I'm going to go through and show you these in the demo. But really anything you need to do from a shipping perspective that you might be using external software for today, or software that has to communicate back and forth to Business Central, you can now do directly within Business Central very quickly and easily. All right. Some additional capabilities that it has, the packaging interface, especially if you're doing EDI and things like that, where you need that pack level detail to send your ASN, or if you want to do packing slips by box, whatever, those sorts of things, we've got that capability. And there's multiple ways we can do that packaging very simply, and I'm going to show you these in the demo, or more advanced, and even auto packing, where it'll build up the packages for you automatically. All right. So and again, the last point here, this is one of the key points I mentioned with WMS Express. You can use that with Ordership Express or with Dynamic Ship, or you can use our full Warehouse Insight product. And what that gives you with those solutions and others, you get that end-to-end solution. So we're not just talking about, oh, all you get is, yeah, I can generate shipping labels. You can extend this to work your entire fulfillment chain through Business Central and make that work. All right. Now, the way we do that is, I'll jump into this, talk about a few of the applications, the solutions we have for doing fulfillment from within Business Central. So the first one here is this order fulfillment worksheet. So that's one of the applications that you can get from us. And all these can run independently, but if you use them together, again, you get that sort of end-to-end solution. And the order fulfillment worksheet answers the question, what can I ship today? Okay, so if you have a warehouse supervisor or a shipping manager or something like that, and their job is to get stuff out the door today, the first thing they're going to do when they come in the morning is say, what can I ship today? Well, this answers that question for them. It tells them what they can ship today, and then automatically generates all the picks and everything they need to generate those shipments. So it creates warehouse picks, warehouse shipments, or it can just print a picking list by order, depending on which warehouse functionality you have enabled within Business Central. And it automatically does all the allocation and everything required, so it'll never create a pick for something you can't ship. So a very useful tool if you have people coming in the door and going, oh, I don't know what to do today. This will tell you, and it'll automate the generation of those documents. Now, once we've got the pick documents, whether you use fulfillment worksheet or something else, what we do is we send that out to the warehouse management solution. Now, again, you could just print this out on paper and go execute it on paper. But if you want to move to something more robust, specifically barcoding or optionally RFID, you can go out and use Warehouse Insight or WMS Express. Now, I mentioned WMS Express earlier, that's free. If you have your Business Central set up the way you like it and everything else, you can plug in WMS Express and start doing barcoding immediately, within hours or less. You can start using this. I'll talk about it later, but we have an implementation option called Quick Start that'll get you up and running within a day or so, and away you go. Warehouse Insight is a broader solution, so it does a heck of a lot more than WMS Express. But for the purposes of fulfillment, it also allows you to go out, start doing your picking, do your packaging. So that's one advantage that Warehouse Insight has. You can actually do packaging while you're picking, or you can package up at the staging area. If you're building up pallets for LTL, you can use your handheld devices to do all that packaging and everything else if you have Warehouse Insight. Or if you want to just do your packaging within Dynamic Ship, you can do that as well. But once we pick the product, using one of those solutions or just a piece of paper, we send that out to one of the shipping options. And again, we've got Ordership Express, which if you're doing domestic parcel shipments, this might be everything you ever need, right? If you need something more advanced where you want to do the packaging, where you're doing international shipping, where you want to do more advanced configurations, you're going to want dynamic ship. Because again, anything you can do really in an external shipping solution that you get from the carrier or whatever, like World Ship or Ship Manager or whatever, you can now do right in Business Central using dynamic ship. All right, now that's kind of the, at a high level, an end-to-end solution. I generate my picks, I execute them, using barcoding with the handhelds, and then I ship the product out the door. What we're going to focus on in the demo is really how do we get this stuff out the door. If you have questions about some of the other solutions, like how do we do picking, how do we use the handhelds, how do we do fulfillment worksheet stuff, we have a ton of online videos that you can look at that go into more detail on those specific topics. All right, but for us, we're going to jump in and we're going to do dynamic ship. All right, so let's jump into Business Central here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with the sales orders, right? So normally when we do these demos, we jump right into dynamic ship and start packaging. Today we're going to jump in and look at some sales orders here. And I'm going to bring up one of these sales orders that I need to get out the door today. And again, order fulfillment worksheet, that guy will tell you what you can actually ship today. But I have to know that I'm going to get this sales order 004 out the door today. So we open up that sales order. We've got a couple of items to ship. We've got our customer address here. We don't know how we're going to ship it yet. So in a lot of cases, this is, the shipping agent and shipping agent service will be set automatically. It'll come from a website or it'll default in based on the customer I've selected and all those sorts of things. But in this particular case, we're going to determine which shipping agent we want to use by doing a freight quote. Now, this freight quote we can do at the sales order level. We can also do it out in the warehouse. If we left this, shipping agent blank here, and I go to ship this as a shipper, it's going to say, hey, I don't know which carrier to use. Please choose one, and it'll give me a list of all the carriers and the rates and everything else. But in this case, I'm going to do it right here at the sales order level. But before I do that, and if I did this freight quote right now, it would actually fail. And the reason I know it would fail is because I entered this address incorrectly. So it'll come up and it'll give me an error message and tell me, hey, I couldn't, get you quotes because we got a problem with the address. So before I do any freight quotes or anything else, if I've just entered this customer, I can do this address validation. And this works at the customer level, at the ship to level, at the vendor level, anywhere there's an address, it'll have this validate address capability here. And what this is going to do is it goes out, it looks at the address, and it validates that against an address database. And in this particular case, it was able to correct the address. It had all the details it needed to figure out my postal code, my zip code needs to be this. And this is obviously a shipment in Canada here. But this works, globally, US, Canada, wherever. And it can correct the address, or if it can't correct the address, like let's say this part was missing completely, it'll just tell me, hey, this address is no good, and ask me to correct it manually. So it does go through and allow us to do that address validation so we can be sure we always have a valid address. And now I can update just the order, or I can update the order and the address source, which might be the ship to code, like the ship to location for that customer, or the customer itself. Okay, so anyway, we do have that address validation capability in there. If I don't explicitly do that address validation, we still validate the address before you can get a shipping label or anything else. The difference is it just tells you you've got a problem with your address, and then you have to go in there and fix it. Okay, but this is sort of proactively making sure the address is good before the shipper gets it. Now that I've got a valid address here, I'm going to go in and do this freight quote. And there's a few ways you can do a freight quote. So here it's come in and said, hey, what type of packaging are you going to use when you ship this order? So this is an estimate, right? We're going to estimate, okay, we're going to have our standard box size, and this is going to take 2 boxes to ship it. This weight comes in from the sales order. So the weights are defined on the items. So it knows what weights this are, but I could enter an estimated weight here as well. So that's if I want to manually come in and say, yeah, I'm going to ship 2 of these guys, and we know what the weights are. The other option is this auto pack, where if I hit auto pack, it'll go through all the items on the sales order and figure out how many boxes I need and what type of box I need in order to ship this order. Again, it's an estimate, and it's not an optimizer. It's based on cubage and length and height, and it's going to come in and give me a list of all the packages and everything I need to ship this particular order. In my case, it's pretty simple. I'm going to say this order is going to take a couple of boxes. You know, we divide the total weight of the order by 2 and we're good to go. And then I say get quotes. And what it's going to do now is it goes out to all the carriers I have to find, and it's using my account numbers with those carriers. And we got some carrier messages back, and I notice I don't have FedEx showing up here. The FedEx test server, you know, quite often, you know, doesn't respond well. But basically, any carrier that I have set up in the system, it's going to give me, you know, the services that that carrier offers and what I have to pay for that shipping. Okay, so this is using your account number with those carriers. Now, there are some standard accounts you can use for UPS, USPS, other guys like that. You get discounted rates through Dynamic Ship. You'll go out, you'll get this. Even if I don't have an account with UPS, I'll get a discounted rate from UPS through that. Now, what we see here is this is what I'm paying for the shipping, right? So this is my cost for that shipping. This price is what we're planning on charging the customer for that shipping. So you'll notice they get free shipping on everything except if we ship it next day air. Okay, so this allows, and quite often, you know, you hide these things for the customer service reps because all they want to see is what's it going to cost the customer. And they're on the phone with the customer and they say, yeah, ship it UPS expedited because it's free, it's good enough, and I'm going to choose that. And now what it does when I select that rate quote is it's going to go in and it's going to put that quote right here on the sales line. So it tells me this is what, you know, we're expecting to pay for that shipping, and this is what we're going to charge the customer. So we've marked it up here by whatever that is, 15, 20%, 20% it looks like. So we've marked that freight up. And now you're saying, hey, wait a minute, you said they were going to get free shipping. Well, that is true. They are getting free shipping because we also gave them a 100% discount. So when they get their invoice, they're going to see a shipping charge of $319 that we've discounted down to 0. So we can do all those sorts of things. We can do markups, discounts, flat rates, handling charges, all of those sorts of things based on you know, customer, shipping agent, ship to address, order value, all of those sorts of things. And in this case, the reason they got that discount was because their order value was over $1,000. So just to illustrate that real quick, I'm going to go into the setup for that, because I'll forget to do it later if I don't do it now. So this dynamic ship freight prices, this is where you can come in and set up the rules for pricing that freight. So you'll see here I've got some rules where for that specific customer, if we ship it UPS next day air, I mark it up by 20% and I give them no discount. For that same customer, right, the one above it, if their order value, regardless of the carrier that we're using, if their order value is over $1,000, I mark it up by 10%. I thought it was 20, but 10%, and I also give them a 100% discount. So those are the types of things you can do. So you can set up rules for all of your customers, specific customers, price groups, campaigns, all of those sorts of things in here. So very quick and easy to figure out what you're going to charge your customer for freight. And the nice thing is, because we track the cost and what you're charging, we have a nice dashboard that you can use to figure out, am I making money or losing money on my shipping charges by customer, by carrier, by state, whatever information you want to report on. We've got that detail here. All right. Now, all right, so I've done this quote. And by the way, when I go to ship this, I estimated a couple of boxes. If I ship this and, you know, my freight cost is higher or lower here, we can do one of two things. We definitely update the actual cost when I ship this, but we can either update this price to reflect, you know, the new cost of the shipping, or because we've quoted this already, we just keep this consistent. Okay, so you have that option as well. We can update this with the actuals, or we can just leave it at whatever we quoted. Right. Now, and one other thing to mention, when I did that freight quote here, and I chose, you know, the UPS, all you saw there were a couple of carriers, they're parcel carriers. This works for LTL as well. So if I had LTL or full truckload carriers in there, I would have got that same screen for all my LTL carriers in here as well. Okay, so the usability, the user interface, the process is exactly the same whether I'm doing parcel or LTL. All right. Now, one last thing down here, because I chose UPS expedited as the carrier in the quote, that is now set on the sales order, and this thing is ready to ship. Okay, so now what I would do is the salespeople have done their work. they've got the sales order entered, it's gone out to the warehouse and ready to ship. And again, you can use the order fulfillment worksheet to automatically generate the picks and everything you need to fulfill that order. Somebody goes out, uses Warehouse Insight or WMS Express to scan those picks and pick everything. But ultimately, at the end, once they've picked everything, they're going to take it over to a shipping station or a packaging station, and somebody's going to package that order up and get it out the door. Now, in the case of LTL, maybe the picker, the person using the handheld device is going to build up the pallets and everything else and just say, here, it's done. And then we go into dynamic ship and everything's already packaged. In this particular case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to the package worksheet. Now, if you're running something like Ship Manager or World Ship or something like that, you have that screen open all the time. Well, instead of that, you're now going to have this package worksheet open all the time. This is the primary interface people are going to use to do their packaging. And the way it works, you see it says scan here. Well, I've got a little USB barcode scanner attached to my PC that I'm going to be scanning commands. So anything that you see on the menu, like any of these actions that you see on the menu here, instead of going hunting through the menu or clicking, I can just scan a barcode here. So the idea is you have a cheat sheet of maybe 5 or 10 barcodes that you use on a regular basis, and I'm not touching the mouse or keyboard. I'm just scanning a command to do my packaging. Okay. Now, there's a few different ways we can do the packaging. So the first thing I'm going to do, though, is somebody picked a bunch of product. They dropped that product off at my packaging station. Now I need to package up that order. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan the barcode on the pick ticket or whatever you're using to bring that order up on the screen. So I scan that order, and now it brings up all the items I need to package for that order. Now they're red and italicized because I haven't packed these yet. These are unpacked. And if we scroll down, we can see how we're supposed to ship it, where we're supposed to ship it to, how many packages I've already got defined, those sorts of things. In the case of LTL, or if I'm doing packaging while I'm picking, what you would see there is you'd see all the packages and everything predefined because I've already packed everything up and I'm ready to go. And all I'd have to do is print my shipping label. In this case, I have to package these up to get my shipping label. And now there's a couple of ways we can do it. One is what we call quick label. So if I scan the quick label command, or from the sales order or other places, sales order shipping screen, I can hit quick label. And here it's pretty simple. All I have to do is say I'm shipping, one large box, and then read the weight from the scale or type in the weight, and I'm shipping, one small box, and it's, whatever, 6 pounds, and I can change these dimensions. I just list all the boxes I'm shipping, and then I go out and I get my shipping label. So this way, like, it's 3 seconds and I've got a shipping label. I just indicate what boxes I'm shipping, and bang, I've got a shipping label. Now, that's one of the easier ways to do it. I'm going to actually show you, the hardest way to do packaging because it's the nicest. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scan that order in again. I'm going to bring up that order I need to package. And again, I'm going to do this now the hardest way possible. And the hardest way possible means I'm going to define each package individually, and I'm going to tell the system exactly which items are going into which box. And that gives me several advantages. Well, number one, I know the value of each box. I know the contents of each box, especially if you're shipping lot numbers and serial numbers. I can track which lot numbers or serial numbers are in each specific package. And if I'm doing EDI, like if I'm doing the ASNs, we now know the package contents, so we can do an accurate ASN for our trading partners. And what I'm going to do to tell the system which items are in which box is I'm going to scan the barcodes of these items. Now, you never have to scan the barcodes of items or scan really anything. But if I do scan these items, what that does is it gives me that physical verification that I'm packing the right item. Like if I pick up, this cardboard box and go beep, and it's the wrong cardboard box, but it looks exactly like the cardboard box I was supposed to ship, I'll get that error message here. I won't be able to ship something that may look exactly like the thing I was supposed to ship because we're doing that physical verification. So this completely prevents any misships. And misships can be very expensive, right? If I ship something out and it's the wrong thing, I got an angry customer, I got to pay for the return shipping, I got to pay for the shipping of the right product back out, all of that. Anything you can do to prevent that is ideal. And the way to do that is to scan the barcodes of these items as I'm packaging. Again, You don't have to. If you don't have barcodes on your items, you don't have to scan the item barcodes. I can pack in multiple ways. I can use the quick label. I can come in here, use the mouse and the keyboard to do the packing, whatever you want to do. But if you can get barcodes on your items, and those barcodes can be your own barcodes, they can be manufacturer barcodes, UPC barcodes, we don't care. Any barcode that we can reference back to this item is valid. All right, so what I'm going to do after all that blabbing is I'm going to say, let's start packing. And it says scan a package to pack. Well, I don't have an existing package defined yet, right? I didn't create one while I was picking. So I'm going to say, I'm going to use my normal size box. So I scanned a little command there, and I'm using this template standard box, and it automatically brings in those dimensions of that, that template package. I can change these dimensions. I can scan a barcode or come in here, hit edit. I can change the dimensions, all that kind of stuff on here anytime. But I'm going to use a standard size box, and now I'm going to be able to start packing things into this box. So how do I do that? I just simply scan one of the barcodes of the items I'm packing. Right? So now we've got this item packed in that box. It's calculating the weight as we go on the fly. But again, I can read the weight from a scale if I've got one hooked up or whatever else. Okay, so we've got one of those packed. And the way I have it set up is every time I scan one of these, it packs a quantity of one in that box. So you can set it up to prompt you for a quantity, because if you're shipping 1,000 volts, you want to scan 1,000 times. You want to scan once and type in the quantity that you're shipping. If I'm doing lot numbers or serial numbers, I can also scan the lot number or serial number here, or select it from a list if I prefer. Okay. All right, so that's all we do. I'm going to come in, I'm going to scan this guy as well. So now I've got these two guys here, 1980, 1972, packed in this box. We know the weight of the box, the contents, everything else. Let's pretend that box is full. I've filled it up with these items. I need to start packing a new box. So scan that new box, and then I simply scan the remaining items in. And again, if I had scanned the wrong item, I would have got an error message. If I try and overpack, it's going to yell at me, right? So it prevents you from making mistakes because I'm doing that physical verification, which again, you don't ever have to do if you don't want, but it definitely helps. All right, now I'm fully packed. Everything's good to go. We know how I'm shipping it. All I have to do now is generate my shipping label. So all I do is come in here, and again, in here, I just scan my command to get a shipping label. And it goes out and it's going to print my label. Now, in a production environment, this is the test environment. Production environment, it takes a couple of seconds, and I've got a shipping label sitting on the printer beside me. And the ideal solution to that, by the way, is cloud printing. And we have that free print node connector tool that this label would already be on the printer. Like beep, and 2 seconds later, I've got a shipping label on the printer. I've got it set up to do a print preview here. And just so we can look at the label, but it's not exactly all that exciting. It's a shipping label, box 1 of 2. This is where the UPS barcode would go, of course, and package 2 of 2. So pretty darn simple. Go beep, and out pops my shipping label. So even though I said this was the hardest way to do it, the interaction with dynamic ship is like 5 or 10 seconds to generate that shipping label and to be 100% certain everything is packaged correctly. So it really is very quick and easy to do. Again, if you don't want to scan the barcodes, you can do the quick label, or you can use the mouse and the keyboard to do the packaging that way, that sort of thing. All right, now, when we did that, when we went in and shipped that product, we did a few other things as well. So one of the things that we did was we sent an email to the customer. So I'm just going to open up Gmail here. And here's that email that just came in. The format and the content of this email can be anything you like, right? So you can use the word layouts to craft whatever template you want for the email, list all the items that were shipped, the total value of the order, put the entire invoice in here, whatever you want to do. We can also attach a PDF copy of the invoice or the packing slip or the order confirmation onto this. So we can attach those documents right to the email that we send out. The nice thing about this email is this tracking link. For any of the parcel shipments, this tracking link, if I open that up, it takes the customer to a web page that has your logo on it, your advertising, all of your links, that sort of thing. So this wouldn't say InsightWorks, that would be your logo, your advertising, all of that kind of stuff. And so that's really nice. If you don't have an existing customer portal for shipping tracking, this is a good tool. It's nicely branded, gives you all the same information you'd get as if you went to the UPS website, right? All the different events, nice little tracking bar, all of that kind of stuff is right there. It's a nice little value add, gives you that branded tracking capability without having to, build it into your own website or whatever you like. Now, in addition to the email, if I look at that sales order that we just dealt with, we'll see a couple of things. Well, number one, if we scroll over here, you'll see that these values changed because my actual shipping was about $1 less than what my quoted was, and I've got the setting turned on that adjusted the price based on my actual. Again, there's a setting that would have kept the original quote. My setting adjusts the price based on the actual. So you can give a rough estimate, when you're entering the sales order, and then you bill what you actually need to bill. Not that it matters to this customer because they still get free shipping. And then down here, we've now got the tracking number associated with that shipment as well. And that tracking number also goes on the lines. So if you're doing multiple shipments against the sales lines, we'll have those tracking numbers stored on the posted sales shipment and everything else, and that's all good. And we also have I never remember where it is. We also have the packages, the list of packages we ship with this order, and we've got individual tracking numbers per package as well. So if somebody phones up and says, hey, I didn't get this box here, we've got that tracking number specifically for this package. So there's a master tracking number and there's a per package tracking number as well that we can use, to chase the carrier or to figure out the value of this box, those sorts of things. All right, so we've got all that detail, and that is really all just a side effect of going beep, beep, beep a few times and shipping my box. Okay. Now, if there are other things that you need to do, so for example, I want to go in there and before I get the shipping label, and I'm allowed to do this, by the way, because I'm an admin, but before I do the shipping label, maybe I want to set some options. Like I don't want, adult signature, or, I want to do third-party billing, or, set hazmat, or whatever I need to do on this shipment. I've got all of those options available here as well, including things like this, right? I can put the purchase order number or the item numbers or whatever I want right on the shipping label. So these are, where we can add additional text to the shipping label. Now, all of these options that you see here, these can be set at the customer level, at the ship to level, at the carrier level, all those sorts of things. And what that means is when I create a new sales order, the default options for that customer will automatically get added to that sales order. And that can be per carrier and per ship to code as well. So for example, if I'm shipping UPS, maybe I have some third-party billing information where I'm using their carrier information to ship to, but if I'm shipping FedEx, I'm going to ship, the standard way. So you can set all of that up at the customer level and it'll default into the sales order when I ship it. Or like you see here, right before I ship it, I can come in and make those changes as well. You can also make these changes right on the sales order. All this information is available at the sales order level, at the customer level, and right down here at the shipping level as well. Okay. Another thing that we can do is we can go in and generate return labels, do blind shipments, all of those sorts of things as well. So if you have a requirement to do drop shipments and things like that, you can do blind shipments, all that kind of stuff, and we can generate return labels. So this is a common thing. I'm shipping out a replacement product and I'm going to have the customer ship back the bad product or whatever. I can generate a return label at the same time I generate my outbound shipping label. And I can choose a different carrier to use than my outbound shipping. So yeah, I'm going to ship overnight UPS to get the new product out, but I'm going to do USPS ground to get the bad one back because I don't need to spend a lot of money to get the old product back. And I can generate shipping labels at any point as well. So I can generate it here while I'm shipping it, or a month from now, somebody wants to return something, I can generate a return label from that original shipment and send them a PDF for them to print out and affix to the box and all those sorts of things. Okay. Now, anyway, that's some of the options and things you can set before you ship. Let's really briefly talk about international shipping. So I'm going to bring up an order here. And this one happens to be an international shipment. And you'll notice here I haven't specified a carrier. That's perfectly valid as well. If I don't have a carrier specified here, it's going to prompt the shipper at this point to choose a carrier to use, right? So if you want to do the sort of best way shipping, where you leave it blank and you leave it up to the shipper to choose a carrier to use, you can leave it like that, and they will be able to choose one, right? So maybe it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon and FedEx has already been here, but UPS is still coming. Well, they could choose UPS instead of FedEx or whatever they want to do. Anyway, this is an international shipment. We're shipping from the US to Canada. And so for that, I'm going to need some customs information. So before I do the customs information, I'm just going to package, one of these items up. So I'm going to do a partial shipment of one bicycle on this order. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring up the commercial invoice information for this order. And all of this information defaulted in from the master data in the system. You don't have to enter anything. The only thing you might want to enter, and this can also default in, is content explanation that shows up on the commercial invoice. Or if you're using brokers or whatever, you can set brokers and all that kind of stuff here. But the idea behind this is, down here, this is where the meat of it is. It tells me what I'm shipping, what the value of that is, and I can override this if I want. Like this is coming from the sales order, but if I want to change this to $0 because it's a demo unit or something, I can. The weight, the country of origin, the HS code, all of that kind of stuff comes from the item master or from Business Central in general. And I mean, I can come in and override this if I want, or if this came in blank. But ideally, you never have to touch anything for international shipments. All the details come in automatically, and this gets transmitted to the carrier when you do the labeling. So what that means is if I'm shipping this DHL or FedEx or whatever, we'll send all of this information to the carrier, and they will return us a commercial invoice with their logo and everything on it. So you can still print out the paper commercial invoice, but the carrier will have everything they need to clear customs electronically. Okay? So that's all automated. And there is a commercial invoice in Business Central if you want to customize the commercial invoice or add additional information or whatever you need to do for your specific environment. You can customize that invoice as well, or use the commercial invoice the carrier sends back. Okay, so pretty simple. Generally speaking, international shipping, it's maybe one beep and you've got it covered. So that's great if you're doing a ton of shipping internationally because it's easy to do. And it's also great if you hardly ever do international shipping because everybody forgets what they're supposed to do. And this makes it dirt simple. It's all automated. Okay, so that's all there really is to automated international shipping. One other quick note. If you're in the US and you're required to use the AES, the ACE system through the Customs and Border Protection stuff, we do have integration with AES Direct if you need it as well. All right, so that's the basics of the shipping. Again, you open up the package worksheet, you potentially scan a bunch of stuff or enter the dimensions, you get your shipping label, you stick it on the box, the customer gets their email with all the details and the tracking information. We update the sales order with the pricing and the tracking numbers, and you're done. So your shipping process now, other than the physical act of packaging that, is like 10 seconds of interaction with the system, and it does all of that other stuff all automatically for you behind the scenes. All right. Now, what I'm going to do now, let's say, everything you do is just that, domestic parcel type shipments. Obviously, Dynamic Ship can work with that and do everything you need. But let me just quickly show you the alternative, which is OrderShip Express. I'm just jumping into a different company here. And I'll show you very briefly a little bit on OrderShip Express. So there's a couple ways you can use OrderShip Express. One is with the sales order shipping view. I'm not sure, this used to be North American only, but anyway, that's a standard page within Business Central where you can come in, and it's kind of like a warehouse view of the sales order because it just shows you the sales order and everything else, and they don't see pricing and all that kind of stuff. So if you want your warehouse personnel shipping, you can use the sales order shipment screen to do all of your shipping stuff here. But I'm going to actually go into the sales order because that's what everybody is mostly familiar with, and we're going to ship from the sales order. So I'm going to open up the sales order 005 here, and we've got, as soon as it opens, we've got a couple of items we need to ship. We've got the address, all that kind of stuff. And now you'll see over here, we've got these two actions. This is OrderShip Express. everything over here, the freight quote, blah, 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 that is, well, just these two, that is dynamic ship. So you can run them side by side, but chances are if you're running Order Ship Express, you're not going to have dynamic ship. So Order Ship Express really has these two functions that you can use. There's a third one for setting options, but I'll show you that when we do this. So what this allows me to do is right from the sales order, create shipping labels. And even if you're using warehouse shipments, you can still use Order Ship Express. You just have to come back to the sales order to generate the labels, but you can still ship on a warehouse shipment if you want. Now, the way it works is pretty simple. Hey, I need shipping labels for this order. So I come in here. We've already selected the carrier to use. Order Ship Express gives you up to 3 carriers you can use at a time, right? So I could use any one of these 3 carriers. It doesn't give you that rate shopping where it can compare rates across multiple carriers and services, but I can come in here and check the rate before I generate my label. So the way it works is I simply come in here. So I've got a 12 by 6 by 5, and it weighs 5 pounds. And of course, you can change the unit of measure to whatever you like, right? I'm just doing it in standard measurements, inches and pounds, but centimeters, kilograms, whatever you want to do. So let's say actually, let's do 2 boxes just for fun. You can do as many boxes as you want, and envelopes and everything else. If you've got sort of the predefined packages from the carriers, you can choose one of these and get a better rate and that kind of stuff. But anyway, I'm shipping these two boxes, USPS Express. Maybe the customer wants to see what that's going to cost them, so I can hit get rate. So it'll go out and calculate what it's going to cost to ship this order. And our cost is $90. We're going to mark that up to 103. This is a simple markup. So this isn't that fancy freight pricing rules you saw in Dynamic Ship. This is just a simple markup on top of this, right? Like a 15% markup on top of our cost. The customer says, well, that's a lot of money. I can come in here and say, oh yeah, well, that's because the default is, for you is you're going to get a require signatures. So I don't need a signature or whatever. So again, you can set a few different options here, right? You can do third-party billing, those sorts of things. But I'm going to come in here and just say, the only thing I'm changing is I don't need a customer signature. What's it going to cost me now? Well, it's 20 bucks less. Let's do this option. So I simply say, get me my label, and we're done. Now, if you have, again, the print node connector installed and the cloud printing enabled, well, actually, I forgot I do. So there's a printer on somebody's desk at home. I turned it off, I lied. If I'd had that turned on, that label would have showed up on the printer immediately in real time. Now, in this case, it shows up as a PDF. I hit print and I'm done. So if you don't have a dedicated label printer, I would just print these and I've got those labels for the 2 boxes and away we go. So I've got my labels and I'm set. Now, if I need to view them again or reprint them or generate a refund or whatever, I can come in here, do a return label, refund the label, all that kind of stuff, or reprint it. I've got all of that history of those labels that I've shipped right here at any time. And this is available at the posted shipment level and the sales order level as well. So if I come back 2 months from now, I need to generate a return label, I can do that, okay? And just like in Dynamic Ship, we've come in and added in the cost and the price to the sales order. We've got the tracking number, we've got all of that kind of stuff set, and we're good to go. So pretty simple. And again, that's a free application. And if you don't have your own carrier accounts set up with discounts, you will get discounted rates from UPS and USPS and guys like that just by using Order Ship Express. All right, so a little bit on the pricing. So obviously Order Ship Express is free. Dynamic Ship is priced per location. So that means per shipping location, basically, per warehouse. So that means if I have 10 shipping stations, 10 packaging stations in a warehouse, you're only paying one price. It's not user-based or anything else. It's based by location. First location, I think, is a couple $100. After that, you get pretty steep discounts, and it gets down to, I think, $75 a location after a few or something along those lines. But again, for accurate pricing, check with your reseller partner, your Business Central partner, if they're a reseller of ours, they will get you an accurate price on all of that. Now, one of the key points here, the freight integration providers. So when we go out and get those labels or talk to the LTL carriers and all those sorts of things, we're connecting to an API. That API may charge you some money. If you're doing parcel shipments, whether it's international or domestic, you can do up to 10,000 shipments a month at no cost through that API. If you do more than that, there may be a cost to get those labels. If you're doing LTL, there's usually a cost for the API to use it for LTL. And some of the other parcel shipment APIs may have charges as well. So again, if it's standard parcel shipments, international, domestic, whatever, you get 10,000 a month, no cost. If it's something more than that, like LTL or whatever, you can get a hold of us or your partner, and we can give you an idea of what that might cost. But that fee is with the API that you're using. It's not a fee to us. It's with the provider that you decide to work with. Okay. As far as implementation costs go, we do have a fixed price implementation. I do recommend that you don't do it yourself. We have instructions on our knowledge base on how to do it yourself, but it's best if you have somebody help you implement Dynamic Ship. Ordership Express, no problem. Go in and set that up. The wizard walks you through it very easily. You can do that yourself. Dynamic Ship, get us engaged or get your partner engaged to set it up. If you use us, it's a pretty low cost, fixed price implementation. We'll do the implementation, the training, the support, everything you need to make sure you're up and running and happy with that solution. Go to Shipping for Dynamics. That'll list all the shipping products we have, and Dynamic Ship will be in that list of shipping products at Shipping for Dynamics, or just go to our main website, which is DMSI-Works. When you're on that website, you can go to the support link, and that'll take you to the knowledge base, which gives you sort of implementation and user guides for the products. There's also a chat option there where you can chat on the website with us, or look for a partner, or check to see if your partner is one of our resellers. If they're not, and you want to explore other possibilities, there's contact forms for the partners on the website as well. There's tons of videos on the website, and if you go to our YouTube channel as well, which you can get to from the website, there's literally hundreds of videos covering off a ton of different pieces of functionality for all the different products, including Dynamic Ship, Warehouse Insight, WMS Express, all of those things we've talked about today. All right, with that, thanks everybody for attending. I hope you have a great rest of the week, and hopefully we'll talk again soon.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up and share your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe for more great content, and remember to hit that bell icon to stay updated. See you in the next video.